Let's talk about meditation for beginners. How to start meditation at home. Why should you meditate? For how long? These are a lot of questions that I know I had when I was starting out, and I've never had like my own personal meditation guru. I've kind of had to sort it out on my own and read book after book after book. And so I'm going to try to put this all in one simple place for you guys, all right? Um, this stuff can seem daunting. It can seem overwhelming. There's a lot to it. But once you break it down into these simple things, this is really going to help you, okay? So let's jump right into it. Here we go. So first thing, why are you meditating? Why? What are you doing? What's the point? What are you after? Who are you trying to find? Why do you want to know? Okay. Anyways. So what's your purpose in this session? Okay. You can meditate for so many reasons. A common one is to meditate to sleep or to just relax your body. You can meditate to heal your body. You can meditate for guidance because we all know there's that inner wisdom we can access if we can just get out of the way. Are you trying to build energy to like face the day? What are you trying to do? So first thing to do is to consider that. And that one thing is going to inform everything else about what we do in that meditation, okay? Your second thing is going to be your environment. Where are you going to meditate? Sometimes we're not always completely in control of our environment, which is okay. But we need to have as much as possible a safe space, if you will, despite that term being kind of bastardized over the last few years. So really your space needs a few qualifications. So it needs to be undisturbed. You don't want to be interrupted halfway through your meditation, okay? Preferably quiet. And that's relative. A waterfall can be a very noisy thing, but it can also be very relaxing. Freeway, not so much, undisturbed, preferably quiet, or at least not distracting, okay? Maybe having that TV on is not a great idea. Turn off your notifications on your cell phone. Try to ask people around you if you have to share your space. Maybe don't barge in on me while I'm doing this. Just try to minimize distraction as much as possible. We want this to be a safe place. And then I actually recommend using the same place as much as possible every time you meditate. What'll happen is that your subconscious will start associating that place with meditation. So if you have an area that's not used for anything else, I would highly recommend you set that up as your meditation space and then use it only for that. It'll be that psychological reinforcement, that subconscious reminder every time you enter that space. It'll get easier and easier and easier to meditate. And then the last thing you should examine on your environment is it comfortable? Obviously meditating somewhere where there's a swarm of bees is going to be a bit distracting. That goes back to that distracting aspect. But is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is there too much wind? Is it so comfortable? Just, at later states and maybe in your meditation practice, you might be going for challenging meditations. I'm going to sit on an iceberg and meditate until I fall through or something. I don't know. That's a weird one. So clothing, what should you wear? Well, that's up to you. What's comfortable for me is not necessarily comfortable for you. what my wife finds comfortable might not be comfortable for someone else. It's very individual, but there's really kind of two things that I would recommend. I would recommend at least comfortable. Okay. Usually loose fitting, but in the case of maybe like a workout outfit that might be tighter, if that's comfortable for you and you can relax in it, then I would, just go with that. Whatever you have that's comfortable to wear, that's not going to be a distraction. Again, we're trying to remove all extra distractions. So if your own clothes are distracting you, your pants are too tight, or your shirt doesn't fit right, or something, whatever, just comfortable. In certain pagan traditions, there's even meditate naked, whatever, doesn't matter. However, one caveat: if possible, I would set aside one outfit, or if you have a sort of ritual garb or something that you have, I would try to wear that one thing every time you meditate, if possible. And what that'll do is, again, it helps reinforce that psychological, just, that's what's going to happen as soon as you put that on. Here's where your purpose is going to dictate the rest of what we're talking about, okay? How long should you meditate? Lately, I've been seeing a lot of these 5-minute meditations, which is great. If it helps you start, that's fantastic. However, my caveat: I just don't think 5 minutes is long enough. I don't think you need to meditate for an hour on top of a mountain every morning. I do, however, think you should meditate long enough to actually receive the benefit. It might be with a lot of practice that you can get it down to that 5 minutes with stuff like having the same set aside space and same set aside clothes. But what I find, and even as long as I've been meditating, you spend the first couple of minutes trying to get into that space of meditation. So if you spend 2 minutes trying to figure out, trying to get into that space and set all of that stuff in your mind aside so that you can get into that meditation space, and your meditation's only 5 minutes long, well, you've spent half of your meditation already and you haven't meditated. Not really. Now, learning to set everything aside faster and faster is a good practice. And we'll get into that in another video. But that being said, you need to meditate long enough to see the benefit. So I recommend 8 minutes. If you take 2 minutes to get yourself into the right headspace, then you still got that nice 6-minute full-on meditation where you're in that state, which that's where you want to be, preferably longer. But 8 minutes, like I said, you can fit in on a smoke break, coffee break, drive to work, driving to work. Don't close your eyes and meditate. But you can fit that in anywhere, anytime, all over the place. So let's talk about our posture, or our position. So this is going to go back to your purpose. What position should you choose? So standing. Standing, I typically find, is really good for overall energy. Like first thing in the morning, I like to do a standing meditation and really try to just get amped up for the day. Especially as a depressive, it really helps to put myself in that sort of energetic, upbeat kind of mentality. I find a standing meditation really helps with that. Purpose, that's another good one that a standing meditation can do. Just having that standing, centered, grounded energy at the beginning of the day, I find really helps move through the day and really get stuff done. And really helps with even depression. So, your body posture is going to assist in certain purposes of meditation. So seated, what is seated good for? Well, it's really good for introspection. trying to, you have that moment in a day where you're just like, what just happened? Like, why did this hit me like a ton of bricks? A seated meditation is really good for taking these things apart, looking at them, trying to figure out the source of things. It's also good for your spiritual sort of journey, seated and just sort of seeking that sort of guidance. Your energy practice, it can be a good one for that, again, that more spiritual guidance. Whatever your mentality, I am not here to judge why you meditate or what for, okay? Or what you believe. That's not on me. It's up to you to examine what your beliefs are and see if they serve you or don't. So lying down. What is lying down meditation good for? Well, you can guess one of the big ones, but you can use a lying down meditation for healing. If you have certain areas of your body that need work, or just overall health, lying down, I find I'm not focused on my posture. I don't have to. So I can focus more on what my body needs. You can use it for relaxation. You can use any of these for relaxation, but I find lying down meditation is the king or queen for relaxation purposes. And then you can also use it to ease yourself into a sleep state. If you have trouble falling asleep at night, really good for that. So, what posture should you have? How do you stand? How do you sit? How do you lie down? It's not as complicated as a lot of meditation gurus want to teach you. It really isn't. The one thing you're going to notice throughout these three main positions is that I'm going to advocate comfort. If you're in pain, it's really difficult to meditate. It just is. So when you're standing, you want to have good posture, back straight. You want your feet roughly shoulder width apart. You should feel like you're balanced. You shouldn't feel like you're off balance at any point, because that's, again, a distraction from what you're trying to do. How about seated? Well, spine straight. I'm not doing real good at that right now, but I'm just trying to, stay in shot. So you can sit. You sit with your spine straight, obviously. You can sit in a chair. I'll do a seated in a chair meditation sometimes, or I'll sit on the floor and with the legs crossed. There's lotus position where you're folding your legs over top of each other. That's for a little bit more of advanced. That's basically it. You sit down and keep your spine straight and try to remain comfortable. Okay. So lying down. I don't advocate lying on your stomach, and I've never seen anyone who does. I've tried it, and I've never had great success. So I recommend you lie on your back. Keep your legs straight out. It's called dead man's pose. Legs straight out, arms by your side and relaxed. Your head, your face facing straight up, and just as comfortable as possible. And then in all of these positions, you want to breathe. You want to make sure that you're breathing deeply. You want to breathe relaxed, in a relaxed manner. And then again, how you breathe is going to be dictated by what your purpose of meditation is. So, but in general, breathe deep and try to breathe in just as natural a way as possible. We'll get into breathing techniques in another video. So focus. We talked about focus, but specifically outside of your focus as in purpose, how do you focus your mind in this case? Well, again, that's going to depend on your type of meditation and your purpose in meditating. If you're looking for healing, if you're meditating to assist your body's natural healing process, you're going to want to focus your attention on either your body in general or a specific place in your body that needs that healing. If you're looking for guidance, you might have some sort of mental imagery. You might imagine an angel or a spirit guide or your spirit animal or whatever your particular way of interfacing with your subconscious or your superconscious happens to be. You know, those of us with Christian backgrounds, we might find, image of Jesus or an image of an archangel or just, something like that. Those who follow more of Native American traditions, you might have a spirit animal or something of the sort. The list is infinite. Druidic practices would also have something like that with animals or even elementals. In my more Taoist practices, I sort of allow whatever image wants to pop up, and that one's more of a unfocused meditation. But so guidance, try to imagine whatever's going to guide you. Okay. Or conversely, try to clear out enough space to allow that guidance to pop up. If you're looking to get energy from your meditation, you might focus on your breath. You might focus on feeling that sense of energy flow throughout your body, that positivity or that motivation, whatever it is you're looking to get as far as what you're calling energy in that moment. You might even actually imagine energy flowing like electricity or smoke or whatever flowing through your body and energizing you. So that can be a sort of imagery based meditation. Conversely, again, I mentioned breath. You might just breathe and have a very set pattern, and then imagine that or feel how that brings energy into your body. If you're looking for rejuvenation, you might focus on imagery. You might look for your happy place, that place that you go to maybe in real life, and then imagine being there and everything being perfect, or in some instances, some of us just need a safe place to be. And sometimes the only place we have that is in our mind. So imagine that safe place and imagine that feeling of safety. So that's more of an imagery based. For spirituality purposes, to gain more deep spirituality, or for spirituality purposes to gain more depth of spirituality, or whatever it is you're looking for. Again, the breath. You might focus on your body and that sensation of God all around you, or the universe, or your spirit guide, or whatever your interface is as far as your spirituality goes. One of my favorite sort of spiritual meditations is just trying to going to a wooded area, and just closing my eyes. I sit on a log or I stand and I just try to push out how far I can feel. And it gets really wild. You'll find that, you might have a tree 10 feet away that all of a sudden you can feel the wind in its branches. It's a pretty wild experience. And then, for sleep, obviously we don't want to do exciting meditations. So for sleep, I would recommend focusing on your breath. And the one thing that I found really, really helps is counting my breath, especially if you're doing something like a square pattern. I don't recommend a square pattern for sleeping. I would recommend more of an even in and out pattern. So say 7 counts in, and what you're basing your count on could be your heart rate. It could be just whatever tempo you have in your head. It doesn't really matter. But if you can count that in, 7 in and 7 out, or 4, or whatever, the number doesn't matter. And just try to, every time you notice, here's your brain trying to bring up that stuff that keeps you awake. Nope, right back to counting your breath. Where was I? All right, we'll start over. And you'll find that you go to sleep pretty quick. You can focus on your body. One really good sleep meditation that I use sometimes is sort of imagining this sort of warm relaxation, like warm honey or whatever liquid you want to imagine, or but just imagine it just starting at your scalp and just feel just as it flows down, that sort of relaxation happens. And a lot of times I'll get to my chin and I'm sound asleep, you know. So there you go. There's the basics of meditation. We've covered why you meditate, how long you meditate, what to wear, where to be, and what posture to use, and then sort of how to focus while you're meditating. I really, really hope you find this helpful. My name's Chad Rushing. Smash that subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.